Isn't it just really hard to make decisions sometimes? I mean, there's all of these ideas going round and round inside. Maybe I should do it this way, or maybe I should do it that way. And then emotions get involved. Maybe there's fear of making the wrong decision, or there's a deep desire to have that thing that you really want. I gotta say, as somebody who's highly rational, or has been rational for most of my life, and highly emotional as well, making decisions has been really, really hard. But over the last, I would say 25 years, I've been refining the connection to what I call the inner knowing. Now, if you've seen my other content, you probably heard me talk about the inner knowing. Neil Donald Walsh wrote a book called Conversations with God, where he was connecting with his inner knowing. You might call it your soul's voice, you might call it your intuition. There's all kinds of names for this quiet, clear, grounded voice that whispers to us. It's not loud like fear. It's not emotional. It's not urgent. It just knows what is the thing for you in this life and guides you to that with whispers again and again and again. And I was supporting a client in understanding how to work with his inner knowing recently, and a couple of cool things came out of the session that I wanted to share for people out here who are watching to understand how to interact with it. Because, well, first of all, it speaks to different people in different ways. For some people, it might speak in pictures, or it might speak in feelings. But for me and many others, it's actually like words, like a voice. And the first thing is we need to clear out space for the inner knowing's whispers to be heard. If there's a lot of emotional or rational thinking happening, it's hard to hear the quiet through all that noise. So clearing out the emotions, meditating, whatever it is that you can do to kind of quiet things down. Go for a run. I've got some techniques that I share in the videos on my website you can check out. It's stefangrafstein.com if you want to take a look. But the first step is clearing out the noise. And then the next step is the type of questions to ask. If you say to your inner knowing, I'd love to know, who I'm going to marry and where I'm going to live and when it's all going to happen, you might not get, from my experience, very clear messages. But if you ask yes or no questions, that often works much better. Why questions are very difficult for most people's inner knowing to answer. And how and what questions can be answered more easily depending on how you word them. For instance, if you were to say, how am I going to perform at the competition, I imagine you might get a response. And it might be short. It might say great or well or stupendous or you're going to rock it. But if you say, how are we to solve the recycling problem here in Puerto Rico, which is something that someone's got to figure out, it might not actually come in because it's a long, more complex solution. And not to say that you won't get these more long and complex solutions, but typically with most people, this quiet, grounded, clear voice that's more of a whisper and it feels like it's riding on an energy of love often comes in with short communications. So we want to ask maybe an if-then question. So if I decide to go to California, should I be in San Diego or Los Angeles? Could be a much easier way for this voice to communicate. So again, step number one, clear out the rational and emotional thinking through exercise, meditation, yelling, whatever you got to do. So you're quieting yourself. Step two, phrase the questions in a way that is going to be it's going to allow for short answers. And then the third thing is the answers should come quickly. If you don't hear this quiet, grounded voice, again, it's not an emotional or analytical voice, it never will say, I think you should move to LA. It'll just say Los Angeles. It won't say, you'll probably do pretty well at the competition. It will say, you're gonna do great. So as I was saying, if you don't get a quick response right away, then there may not be an answer available. And if you try to press, if you try and wait and your mind might turn on and start thinking and trying to create an answer for you. So ask a new question if you don't immediately get an answer from a grounded, clear place. And you can rephrase the same question. You could say, how will it be to be in LA? You could say, will I love living in LA? Should I move to LA? Where in California should I live? And just keep rephrasing these questions over and over. So there's some info on getting in touch with your inner knowing. I hope that's helpful. If you would like to get more information from me, feel free to reach out. Happy to answer any questions you might have. And also, again, my website, www.stefangrafstein.com. There's more videos you can watch there about the inner knowing and the other of the three voices. Thanks for watching.